Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon, family. Hello, I'm back. I didn't come on last week for Easter, but I was missing you guys and wanted to come on today and talk about teen birth control. I've had some questions come up regarding this topic lately, so we're going to spend some time talking about that. Hey, Monique. Hey, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. How's everything? Good, good, good. We're gonna start in just a couple of minutes. I'm sorry to be a few minutes late, guys, but I'm excited today. We're gonna spend some time talking about teen access to birth control. I get a lot of questions about this, about, what's allowed, what's not allowed. Is there a cutoff age? And so we're gonna talk some about that today. Busy but good. I know that's right. There's nothing wrong with staying busy. Absolutely. Well, thank you for being here. I'm going to give folks a couple of minutes and then we'll get started. As you come on to the live, please wave or type your name and chat. Hey, how you doing, day one? Good to see you. Thanks for coming on today. Appreciate you being here. So today we're going to be talking about teen access to birth control. So whether you are a teen yourself or you have a teen in your life, please come into the chat, like and share with others who might need this information. This is a question, I get a lot of questions about teens and birth control. Hey, Number, how you doing? Thanks for joining today. Thank you so much. So that's what we're going to be talking about today, teen access to birth control. And hey, Sean, hey, thank you so much for being here. So again, even if you're not a teen yourself, it's okay because we all have young people in our lives who might benefit from this information, especially because these questions come up a lot. And, like you all, we're trying to help our young ladies decide when they're going to become sexually active and do so at a time that allows them to be safe from an unplanned and unintended pregnancy. Hey, hey, Pam, thank you for being here. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Again, if this information is something that you think others might be interested in, please feel free to like and share. Okay, so I'm Dr. Madeline, your board certified OBGYN, international speaker, published author. And I love working with busy women, whether they're busy inside of the home or outside of the home, to help make sure they have accurate GYN information and birth control access that they need so that they can have the most freedom and control over their lives that they desire. That's what it's all about, y'all, having freedom and control over your life. So please, by all means, if you guys are here, please know that you can follow me also on Twitter, Instagram, and also YouTube. I'm trying to build up my YouTube channel where I'm going to put basically all these videos over time from Facebook Live and other videos and interviews that I do with people. And all of those are under Dr. Madeline, MD. So that's DrMadeline, MD. So by all means, go on and follow me there. So today we're going to be talking about teen access to birth control. And so what do I mean when I say teen, or actually minors? So when I say minors, I'm talking about anyone who is not yet 18 years of age. And so that's important to know because the laws are different based on what state someone is in. And so we're going to spend some time talking about that. We're going to talk about basically three things related to teen access to birth control. The first thing we're going to talk about is the first point is one, which states allow minors to consent for themselves to contraceptive services without having a parent or a guardian around. The second thing we're going to talk about is some of the things that are really, really important for teens to make sure that they can get the birth control access or the answers to questions that they might have regarding birth control. And the third thing we're going to talk briefly about is the range of options that are available to teenagers, to young women, as they consider what they might want to use to prevent an unplanned pregnancy. Okay, so with that said, so let's go ahead and get started. So I want you guys to be aware of a great website. There's a website that is www.guttmacher.org, guttmacher.org. And that's a great website because what they do is they update regularly all the legal and policy information as it relates to adolescents or minors and contraceptive access. They also update regarding other stuff, but we're not talking about like abortions and all that stuff today. We're talking about just birth control access. And so it's important to be able to have access to that type of information, because these laws, as you guys can see at a federal level, imagine what's going on at the state level. These laws are in flux all the time, and different state level legislatures are, trying to move things around and change people's access to things. So this is definitely a good website to keep in mind if you have a young person in your life and you want to help them have the right information about birth control. So importantly, for this first point, there are 23 states and the District of Columbia that allow all minors to consent to contraceptive services. Okay, so all minors means anyone who is less than 18 years old. So if they're 17 and they want to walk in somewhere and get birth control, they can do that in 23 different states, including and also the District of Columbia. So again, that means, if they're 14, 15, 16, it doesn't matter. There are 23 states that have rules regarding minors being able to do whatever they need to do. Those states, I can certainly list them. I think I'm looking at who's here in the chat. So based on, hey, Esther, thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you. So based on who's in the chat, so yes, Georgia is one of the states where minors can consent to their own contraceptive services. New York is definitely one of the states where minors can consent. Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, California, again, District of Columbia, even Tennessee, Pennsylvania, Montana, Minnesota, Maryland. So again, there are 23 states. There are many places where adolescents don't have to worry about accessing contraceptives if they have that concern and if they want to make sure that they can prevent an unplanned pregnancy. Importantly, I think very importantly, there are 4 states that have no explicit policy or laws on the books regarding minors' authority to consent to contraceptive services. Those 4 states are North Dakota, Ohio, Rhode Island, and Wisconsin. Now, it doesn't mean that teens in those states can't access services. It just means that if there were to be a challenge at some point, there's nothing on the legal books to protect teens in those 4 states if something should come up or if there's a challenge one day. Again, that's North Dakota, Ohio, Rhode Island, and Wisconsin. Now, in general, most physicians, nurse practitioners, other folks, physician assistants who take care of teens, most of us will, especially if they are considered a mature minor, meaning 16 or 17, most of us will do what we need to do based on keeping the adolescent safe. If they have a question, if they want to use something, if they're sexually active by consent, that's another big part of this. We're talking about teens who are sexually active by consent. We're not talking about teens who are feeling coerced into having sex. That's a whole different category. Anytime a provider comes in contact with someone, teen or adult, who is who they believe or who the teen expresses to them that they are having sex, that they're being forced to have sex, that is 100% reportable to law enforcement. So just something else to keep in mind in terms of what else may be going on with teens and access to birth control. I'm talking about teens who are having consensual sex, that they have a partner and they're choosing to have sex and they are exploring ways to keep themselves from getting pregnant. Again, it's one of my favorite things to talk about with teens because a lot of times teens have ideas and thoughts about what they want to do with their future. And in order for them to be able to maximize their ability to get done whatever they want to get done, whether it's college, whether it's traveling, whether it's, starting a business, anything they want to do, when they are at the point of wanting to sit down and talk about the time that they need, then that, it's a great time for them to consider what their birth control options are. Of course, there are some teens who opt to have children at an early age, and that's fine too. So this talk today is for those teens who are sexually active by consent, who are interested in having options at their disposal to prevent an unplanned pregnancy. Okay? So that's the first point, that there are 23 states in DC that allow all minors to consent to contraceptive services for themselves without parental notification, without parental consent, all of that. Now, point two is important as well, because one of the things that is really important for a teen to feel safe, that they can come to you and get the help and answers to the questions that they have to know that it's confidential. Okay, confidentiality is vital to ensuring that teens feel comfortable coming in and getting their questions answered and accessing birth control services. And so absolutely, that's something that providers will assure teens in terms of, yes, we can legally treat you. Yes, we can give you what you need, and we will absolutely keep that confidential. Now, importantly, and I say this to my teens all the time, especially if they're on their parents' insurance, we can't control the insurance explanation of benefits that might come to the home. I know some teens will try to intercept the mail and all that. I'm not judging any of that. I'm just letting you guys know that that's an important thing for teens to know. If you have a teen in your world and they're concerned about accessing birth control, they absolutely have the right of confidentiality if they go to see a provider. Even if they're on their parents' insurance, although, like I said, we can't control if that insurance company sends a report to the parent saying, hey, on such and such a day, your teenager, they don't say it in that way, but they might have a charge for something and they ask the parent to pay for a charge. So, it's kind of nuanced, but again, teens find confidentiality very important, as it should be, because most teens, what I find is that many teens have a desire at some point to involve their parent, even if it doesn't start that way. But they have to feel comfortable at first. They have to feel that you have their back. A lot of times what I'll do with my young people when they come in is I'll say, hey, we've had this conversation. I realize you want to go in this direction. If you don't feel comfortable talking to your parent about it, you can bring them in, or we can telehealth them in to have, if they would like to have their parent be a part of the conversation. And a lot of times teens, that's what they want. They don't want to be the one having the initial conversation with the parent, but they're really open to having the provider being a part of that conversation. So that's something else to keep in mind if there are young people in your world who are thinking about birth control. Many times though, yes, a teen might feel comfortable if you offer to help, if they want to eventually share something with their parents. But what we also know is that in those places where there are laws that insist that a teen tell their parent, a teen would rather not seek services. They really would rather not seek services if they feel like it's being forced that they tell their parents. Okay, so that's something else to keep in mind. So the first point is that there are 23 states in DC that allow all minors to consent to contraceptive services. There are 4 states that have no explicit policy or laws on the books about minors' authority to consent to contraceptive services. The second point is that confidentiality is vital. It is absolutely crucial to teens being able to feel that they can come in and talk to somebody and access what they need. The third thing I want to make sure we cover is that all the options are on the table for teens. So back in the day, there used to be this thought process that for teens to get on birth control, that they couldn't use certain things, that they couldn't use an IUD, or they couldn't use something that could go into their body, because there were myths about whether or not they would become sterile and all of this stuff. So the beauty is that in 2021, the options that are out there for teens include everything. So there are different IUDs on the market. There are ones that are slightly smaller, that are made to go into a uterus that may have never had a child or been pregnant before. There are implants that can go into the upper arm, and I'm gonna eventually do a video so that people can see what that's like and see that it's not as scary as it might sound. But that implant can go into the arm and can be in place for about 3 years. There are IUDs that can be in place for 3 to 5 years, and some as long as 10 to 12 years. But a lot of times, unless a young lady has decided that she never ever wants to have a child, or that she needs at least 10 years, many times teens will opt for things that can give them between 3 and 5 years of protection. Okay, and so yes, teens can get IUDs, they can get implants, they can use the birth control pill. I find that now, everyone is different. When I was in my late teens, early 20s, the pill wasn't the one for me, because I would forget to take it and I'd be walking around and, I'd have to double up. It just wasn't the best for me. There are many teens who feel comfortable remembering to take something every day, and many who do not. And so when I talk with my young people, we go through all the options. There's the Depo-Provera shot that someone can get every 3 months. We talk about that as an option. So, again, the important thing for teens to know, for minors to know, is that they have all the options available to them: birth control pills, IUDs, implants, the shot, the vaginal ring. There's a new gel on the market called Phexxi. That's something that some people are interested in. It doesn't have any hormones in it, but it has to be applied into the vagina before every sex encounter as a way to decrease an unplanned pregnancy. So those are the 3 things I wanted to talk with you guys about today, because teen access to birth control is such an important topic, and teens being able to feel that they are in control of the consensual sex that they're having is an important topic as well. There are some teens, again, yes, they don't want birth control. They might want to have a pregnancy, but for those teens who are trying to plan based on some timeline that they have in their heads, then absolutely these are important things for them to know. Which states they have full rights in, which states they have no explicit laws in, and the fact that providers will keep the conversations between themselves and teenagers confidential. That is absolutely important for teens to know. And the third point is that all options are on the table for teens. If there's something that they want to try that they think might work for them, they are absolutely open to trying it after they have reviewed all the different pros and cons with their providers. Importantly, too, because this is something also that teens may not understand, is that it's okay to stop something and try something else. I have some teens that might not like one type of birth control pill. Maybe we'll stop that pill and they'll try something else, or they might might not like the shot. They'll stop the shot and try something else. So sometimes it's also trial and error, and that's okay. It's all about just getting to what you need. So let me see if I have any questions. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat. Again, really important that our young ladies have this information so that they can feel that they are empowered to get what they need and to have it at the right time, so that when they do become sexually active, they feel more in control about their future plans as it relates to pregnancies. Okay, so ultimately we want to make sure that every pregnancy is a planned pregnancy, whether someone is a teen or not. If a pregnancy happens, ideally it should be planned so that they feel they have the most control and freedom of their lives as they desire. So with that, let me see. I don't think I see any questions in the chat. It's so good to see you guys. I missed you guys last week for Easter. And the week before that, we had Dr. Tracy. And I plan to have another session with her, because I know we got cut off right toward the end. But she was really great. And I know that there was a lot of information that was shared and some questions that we're going to be following up on. So if there are no questions today, a great question, Monique. So for the boys, we just push condoms. Yes, unfortunately, right now, that's all we have for young men. You know, they've been talking for a long time about a birth control option for young men, and there is just not out there yet. Part of the challenge, I think, is that, it's not considered as much of a priority. I think when it comes to a pregnancy and the fact that women carry the babies and all of that, I think people have really been pushing to just try to make sure that there are many options out there for women as possible. Now, that said, I still encourage my ladies to carry condoms as well, because the birth control options, none of these birth control options will protect against STIs, sexually transmitted diseases or infections, or HIV. And so I encourage them to use condoms as well, because a birth control option plus a condom will protect against an unplanned pregnancy and an STD or HIV. A condom will protect against both, even if they don't use some other type of birth control. However, a condom alone is about in the effectiveness range of about in the 80s. And that's with human use, because we're all human. No one uses these methods perfectly, unfortunately. But when you talk about something like an IUD or an implant, you're talking about something being over 99% effective at pregnancy prevention. So great question, Monique. Yes, for the boys right now, we push condoms, we encourage condoms. Y'all know I have 3 sons. I'm not shy with them or their friends if they come to the house about, talking with them about condoms. When they were in their early teen years, I would be the one who was showing them with a banana or zucchini or something how to put on a condom correctly. Because I think what's most important is that none of us fool ourselves into thinking that our children are not eventually going to have sex. In some capacity, eventually our children will have sex. We were all teenagers, and whatever age you were when you first had a sexual encounter, it's just always good for us to keep that in mind. So yes, with young men, I definitely encourage condom use, both for pregnancy prevention and to prevent sexually transmitted infections, including HIV. Absolutely. Yes, Monique, of course, absolutely. I know you are a boy mom as well. So yes, absolutely. Another question, Pam says, after finishing using the birth control pill, how soon can one become pregnant? And should one have a few normal cycles before trying to conceive after years on the pill? Great question. So, the pill actually is one of the birth control options for which someone can return to fertility very quickly. And so you can stop using a pill 1 month and ovulate the next month and potentially get pregnant. And so, but again, it varies with every person, with every situation. So I would say definitely they can conceive that next month if they ovulate, depending on which pill they were using. But one of the reasons why the pill is taken every day is because it has a shorter half-life, and so it doesn't act for as long, it doesn't stay in the system as long. And so when a woman gets to the end of a pill pack and she has her regular menses at the end of that pill pack, if she does not start another pill pack that following month, she can absolutely become pregnant during that next cycle, that very first cycle. Should one have a few normal cycles before trying to conceive after years on the pill? We do usually recommend that with patients. We'll say, after stopping any method, give your body about 2 to 3 months to just get back to its normal baseline. And normal baseline, especially if someone is intentionally planning a pregnancy, that includes taking a prenatal vitamin so that the body can have enough folic acid and other vitamins and minerals that are important for a woman who is newly pregnant to have in her system, so that that pregnancy can be off to a good start. So yes, to answer your question, Pam, about 2 to 3 normal cycles before trying to conceive is great, because that lets a woman take a prenatal vitamin and get her body ready for a potential pregnancy. So great. Thank you, guys. Let me see if there are other questions here. Okay. All right, perfect. Well, I appreciate you guys for joining today. I always love talking about teens' access and birth control because, as women, a lot of things in our lives can be shaped by when we choose to have pregnancies. Okay, and that's it at any age. So I appreciate y'all being here for this conversation today. Pam says, thank you, prepping for grandkids. I hear you, cuz I hear you. They'll come eventually. Absolutely, they will come eventually. Okay, and I don't see any other questions. So I want to thank you guys for being here today. Again, I love talking about birth control. I'm going to be sharing with you guys in the coming weeks. I've written a book about birth control, and I'm going to be sharing some information about that book with you as well. It's called In Control, Everything You Wanted to Know About Worry-Free and Joyful Sex. And so I'll provide more details about that. But, being on birth control, using condoms for STD and HIV prevention, ultimately is for many things, but especially for worry-free, joyful sex, because no one wants to be worried while you're trying to get your groove on, right? So I'm going to go ahead and close out for today. I am Dr. Madeline, your board certified OBGYN, international speaker, and published author. I love, love, love working with women to make sure they have access to accurate GYN information and birth control access that they need so that they can have the most freedom and control over their lives that they desire. So thank you again for joining me. Please, by all means, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Dr. Madeline MD. That's DrMadeline MD. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing y'all next week. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Next Sunday, I will be celebrating my birthday. So I may or may not join. I think I have some plans. And so if I'm not here next Sunday, please forgive me. Know that I'm out running the birthday streets like many Aries like myself tend to do. So I love y'all very much. Thanks again for joining today. Bye-bye.